So I've noticed this anniversary question coming up a bit the last few years. I think it's like a post-COVID thing that people are celebrating anniversaries more than they sort of used to before the pandemic. But the advice I'd give to someone celebrating 10 years versus, say, celebrating 100 years, I think is very different. So I want to give that sort of bit of context first, because if celebrating 10 years, it's likely that the founders are still around, whereas 100 years, they're no longer around. There's probably been multiple generations of a team sort of come through. And I think that's a really important bit of context on how to answer this question. What should we do with that anniversary? Should we do anything? And I think the first thing is yes, but what you do will be contextual around your own personality and your firm's trajectory. So the first thing that kind of came to mind was running an event. You could do a client event. In this instance, it's probably going to be more of a referrer event. It's unlikely that a family law firm is going to want to invite their clients, but referrers for sure. And I think really that event should just be a pretty simple celebration. The managing partner should do a speech. They should be thankful for everyone in the room. But I think the focus of the speech needs actually to be about what's happening for the next 10 years. I think that kind of speech works really well at the 10-year anniversary mark as well. I think if you did 30 years, you're sort of thinking about, oh, what have I learned in the last 30 years and what's the next 30 years? It's too big, it's too far. But I think 10's a really good sort of sweet spot for that. One of the things you asked is about the rebrand. I would say the 10-year mark, you're still a reasonably new-ish firm. Rebrands are expensive. And it's not so much always the project, but it's all the places that your logo needs to be changed, which can make it kind of expensive. And like, while we do that kind of work, and I always love to do it, it's really thinking about, is that best use of your money? If you did it on sort of like the cheap when you started the firm, well, then it might make sense to do it in that anniversary, but otherwise I'd probably keep it. Kind of goes to the website as the next sort of step, which is, I usually recommend that firms sort of update that every sort of 3 to 7 years or so. So if you haven't updated it since you launched the firm, it probably is due for an update. One of the parts of the question was around thought leadership as well. And I was trying to think about, how would you do a thought leadership campaign for your anniversary? It got me thinking about the managing partner's speech, and if they were talked about, well, what they've learnt in the last 10 years and what's ahead for the next 10 years. And I think a really easy, dare I say, kind of idea would be, you could talk about what you expect to happen for the next 10 years in your practice area or the type of clients that you serve. To sort of wrap up that question, thought leadership campaign could make sense. It could be a report, a video series, maybe a blog series. To make that even kind of more special, you might even launch it at your referrer event party. You did mention it was in March, and we're in Feb at the moment at the time of recording. I would say the good news is that an anniversary is for a whole year, so you've got a little bit of time to actually go and do that.